What's up, guys, and welcome back to Book Entertainment. So there's something really crazy that the first police officer did when he arrived at the Khumalo house. This was after the police had been notified about the incident that had occurred at the Khumalo house. So Mthethwa, the sergeant, was sent there to actually protect all of the evidence that was inside that house. And what he did is very, very weird.
Did you do your duty as a police officer to guard those items, to make sure that there is no interference to those items that you had observed inside the house?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, did you safeguard those items?
Well, safeguard the lock. Yeah. Yes.
You testified that you left to the hospital and you left the crime scene with Mr. Khumalo. Do you remember that? That was not guarding. It means you left the evidence with someone else who was not a member of the police officer. Am I correct? Am I correct? If you have no answer, just say so. We have no answer.
I don't have an answer.
I'm telling you that you left the crime scene when you knew exactly that you were supposed to guard the crime scene. You left it with Mr. Khumalo.
Okay.
You also failed to prevent the tampering with the crime scene and left the crime scene with Mr. Khumalo.
Isn't it that you are still putting it to me?
Yes. Do you have any comment? That you left the crime scene?
Because you are putting it to me, it's fine.
Yeah. Do you agree with me that you left the crime scene with Mr. Khumalo?
We have whom? No.
With whom did you leave the crime scene with?
I didn't leave anyone.
Oh, okay. So the crime scene was left unattended. I want to get the clarity now. Was the police officer who was left at the crime scene when you left, or it was Mr. Khumalo only, or you left with no one?
Ingabe uma nihamba-ke niye esibhedlela likhona yini iphoyisa enalishiya noma kwasala uMr. Khumalo kuphela? No, there's no police officer.
Okay. It was only Mr. Khumalo.
Khumalo kuphela.
So what happened is that Sgt Mthethwa was the first to arrive at the Khumalo house in Vosloorus. When he arrived at that house, he was greeted by a man named Themba Khumalo. And this guy identified himself as the relative of the Khumalos, and actually told him that those who were present during the incident had gone to the hospital with Senzo Meyiwa. So relying upon this information, Sgt Mthethwa quickly left the house and rushed to the hospital, to where all of these guys, Zandile Khumalo, Kili Khumalo, were all at. This is where the first problem is at. This Sergeant Mthethwa, he did not verify the identity of Themba Khumalo. He simply relied on what he was told, and then quickly left and rushed to the hospital. Who does something like that? It's really crazy if you think about it. Because what is actually normal is to verify the identity of that person who is saying, I'm the relative of the Khumalos. And what's even worse on top of that, it is that Sgt Mthethwa himself, he did not secure the house itself. He just arrived and was told all the people in there have left, and he also left. That means he just left the scene as it is. So the next problem then occurred in Sgt Mthethwa's absence, and it is that there is a neighbor by the name Sylvia Ngobeni. He actually reported that he entered inside the house and observed this neighbor Magipiri collecting empty cans, and she is the one who actually questioned Magipiri why she was doing what she did, and she said she doesn't want the police to find out that these people were inside the house, they were consuming these cans. Now imagine if this neighbor, Sylvia Ngobeni, had actually not reported that Magipiri had entered inside that house. Where would we be at right now? And all this problem, unfortunately, it is all on Sgt Mthethwa, who actually departed this house and left it unsecured. What he should have done himself, Sgt Mthethwa, was to arrive at that scene, secure it, and actually stay there and actually hand over the evidence to another police officer. Then he then goes to the hospital if he wanted to go there. In so doing, you are maintaining a chain of custody of this evidence to ensure that it is not tampered with. But unfortunately, here we are. This evidence that was all inside the house, it was tampered with, and nobody really knows the extent to which this evidence that was inside the house was actually tampered with. The only thing that we know about is that Magipiri actually collected the cans. Nobody really has a number in their head as to how many people actually entered inside that house. What if they left something in there? What if they took something out of there? And we all know Magipiri actually cleaned the floor. So Sgt Mthethwa's responsibility, it was to safeguard the crime scene and preserve any potential evidence. And his duty was actually to ensure that nothing was going to be disturbed until forensic experts arrived. He failed miserably in doing that. But let us get into Sgt Mthethwa's head. Why was he leaving the crime scene and going to the hospital? You may probably think that Sgt Mthethwa wanted to question the people who were inside the house. But it doesn't make sense because I am certain he was given a duty to secure that house. And the good thing actually is that Sgt Mthethwa actually considered that what he did was actually unprocedural and it was a bad move on his part. So what does this mean for all the evidence that was inside the house? How does this affect the case and the reliability of the crime scene itself? Because there was serious negligence from Sgt Mthethwa and key evidence was either lost or tampered with. And it's very, very difficult to rely on anything that was found inside that house. So the argument that I'm putting on the table is that all the evidence that was inside the house should be disregarded. It should not be considered at all because we have proof that the scene was tampered with, and there is no way we can distinguish between the genuine evidence and what was also altered. And for the state to actually prove their case, they must prove beyond any reasonable doubt without leaving anything in question at all. So when it comes to the evidence that is inside the house, it is to be eliminated, at least from my view. So going back in history, if we look, for example, the Marikana Commission in 2012, during the investigations, they actually found out that the evidence was actually tampered with. And the commission itself, it actually established a prima facie case for evidence tampering, which significantly impacted the integrity of all of those findings. So yes, and there are also many examples whereby the evidence from the crime scene was disregarded due to tampering with. And if I'm the judge in this case, I would disregard the evidence from inside the Khumalo house due to tampering with. So tell me what you think in the comment section and I'll catch you guys on the next one.